Welcome to Ask AC. This is a new video series where we're going to do our very best to answer your burning Android-related questions. First one comes from Andrew, who asks, will there be a Samsung Galaxy Note 8? Now, before I get to answering, worth pointing out, we are of course a very serious media organization, and as such there will be no mockery of the Note 7. We know what happened there, and now it's time to move on in a very, very serious and professional manner and answer the question. Okay, so first of all, it's worth asking what we actually mean by a Galaxy Note 8. If you've been around long enough, you'll know that technically there's already been a Note 8. Samsung used that name way back in 2013 for this crazy 8-inch tablet with a pen that you could also use to make calls. But right now, of course, we're talking about a direct successor to the Note 7. Whatever it's called, Samsung pretty much has to release a thing with a big screen and a pen this year. Explosive mishaps aside, that formula's proven surprisingly successful for them over the past few years. And releasing it 5 or 6 months apart from the Galaxy S launch window is important too. It gives Samsung a fresh new product to go up against the iPhone launch season. Plus, on a few occasions, this tick-tock cycle has let Samsung sneak in some important hardware upgrades to the Note. The Note 4, for instance, had dramatically improved camera and an overhauled design compared to the GS5. Not something we've seen in the past couple of Notes, but the opportunity is still there. So there basically has to be something arriving around August or September. The big question is, should Samsung use the Note name, or has months of bad press and exploding batteries killed that off for good? To start off with, I was in the camp that said yes, the Note is 100% dead, there's no way Samsung could just dust it off and act like nothing had happened. But as time's gone on, I've started to change my mind a bit, and right now I think it's gonna be a Galaxy Note 8 that we get later this year. A few reasons why that makes sense. Firstly, Samsung is gonna have a hard time whatever it calls the next couple of phones. The Galaxy S8 is probably going to take the brunt of that. Media reports are going to remind everyone that Samsung's last big phone quite literally crashed and burned. And you couldn't really blame anyone for waiting a month after release just to make sure it's absolutely safe this time. But by the time we hit August or September, the Note 7 catastrophe is going to be much more of a fading memory. After all, as much as that thing dominated tech news cycles for a couple of months, people do have short memories. And with the Galaxy S8 hopefully not exploding for a few months before that, that's going to restore some confidence as well. Again, news reports will raise the spectre of the Note 7, but surely that's going to happen whatever name they slap on the box. In a way, it would seem worse for Samsung to be seen as using marketing tricks and sleight of hand to distance, say, a Galaxy S8 stylus or whatever from the old Note brand. People aren't stupid, and informed consumers would see right through this sort of thing. Plus, the branding change in itself would be a news story, with Samsung seeming like it has more to hide by sticking a new name on the successor to a troubled product. It's not unlike the Streisand effect, where an attempt to cover something up only leads to it getting more attention. Yes, the whole Note 7 thing was embarrassing and damaging for Samsung. Selling a product to consumers which explodes during normal use, yeah, that's almost as bad as it gets. And that's to say nothing of the constant reminders on airplanes of why you shouldn't take a Note 7 on board. However, in the grand scheme of product recalls, there have been much worse. In the automotive world, for instance, we've seen recalls involving tens of people actually dying because of defective vehicles. And yet in those cases, the brands involved continue to live on. That's besides the fact that a hardcore of Note 7 obsessives are still using their potentially explodey handsets, even as Samsung gradually cripples the device with software updates and works with carriers to deny them network access. Even knowing the risks, some people are still crazy enough to want to continue using the Note 7, and that should give you a good idea of the kind of demand there'll be for a new Note later in the year. It's going to be a challenging year for Samsung whatever it does. The next couple of flagships are going to come under huge scrutiny, as they rightly should, but I don't necessarily think the Note brand is totally unsalvageable. In the long term, Samsung sticking to its guns with a well-known name that's been around for more than half a decade is surely the smarter move. That's going to wrap up our first Ask AC feature. Be sure to leave your own questions down in the comments or in any of the usual social places and we might get around to answering them. In the meantime, I'm out of here. We'll see you next time.